Welcome back. As the year winds down, I know we're all in a reflective state of mind now over the past week or two with what's going on with this virus's resurgence. And I thought I've been feeling pretty in a reflective mood, and I thought you probably are too. So why not draw and paint what we're feeling, reflections, and think back to all the good things that have happened over the past year, because there have been a lot. I know we've all made a lot of art. Many of us have been vaccinated, which give many of us a sense of safety and protection, and been boosted. But this virus is still out there, still weighing heavily on our minds, I know. We've had a lot of good things happen this year, though. We have a new grandchild who just turned a year old. We have a daughter who got engaged. Done all sorts of teaching online and back in my studio since last June, although I did have to cancel my classes today until mid-January, when we'll revisit and see how things are going. Anyhow, I hope while you're working, you'll reflect on all the good things that have happened over the past year, and with the hopes that this thing will get under control soon and we can all get back to feeling safe and comfortable again in the presence of each other. I am using these ornaments, as you can see, because why not? 'Tis the season. I set them on a mirror. I'll post several different photographs for you to use. I cropped this and I played around with the lighting. I held up a white board behind this to keep the reflections or the objects in my room out. I stuck them down. As you can see right here, there's a little gum eraser that stuck these things down in place. The tape wouldn't hold, nothing held, but some gummy eraser, little eraser balls, held it into place. So ignore those when you're painting. I'm using a board that is, I'm using pastel mat actually, and it's 8 by 12. And I thought a nice long narrow board would be a good thing to use and have this be a little more dramatic. I'm using a new pastel in a sort of a slate gray shade. It's just a neutral shade that I thought would be good behind everything. And I didn't want to jump in with any intense color. I really wanted to just get going with, keep it light and then get going with my pastel colors. So as you can see, I separated the pastels into sections that indicate each grouping for each ornament. So this is this is something new for me. It's the Diane Townsend Tirage sticks. It's a nice chunk, really nice colors, and has a nice feel to it. And I kept it in the wrapper just to keep my hands clean and to show you. I'm going in, as I always do, from light to dark. I'm coming back in and going down the line with the colors that I have. This is a warm brown that's not really in this ornament, but I'm seeing warmth, and it's such a neutral color, this ornament, that I had to just find something that would spell out warmth, indicate warmth for me. I'm coming back in with now sort of a khaki green that was in that lineup of the darker values. Coming back in with something a little bit lighter as I work my way over to the creamy color. This is just the underpainting, and I can come back in and lighten it up. So here we go. Real light touch. And I love working on pastel mat. I've been on a kick lately. I just like the texture of it. You can work wet, you can work dry. I'm adding this to my selection. I forgot this is for the decoration on here. So that color is going to be in there also. Anyhow, so I can also smear, and I think I'm going to do just a little bit of smearing with an artist makeup sponge actually, and just soften everything in here. I want the transition from light to dark to be very smooth because it's such a smooth surface on that ball. And so this is just a great way to get it. I could use my finger, but I really love what the sponge does. I'm gonna move along to the red. I'm going with the darkest, then to the lightest. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I take back what I just said. I'm going back in with the reflection, and I'm gonna copy what I did above. That dark, I came back in with a little warm. The colors will be a little bit different in the reflections, and of course, very blurry edges. And I'm gonna come back in with a little bit of this green I see over here. See, it's in fact in this reflection, I'm seeing a little more green. And coming back in with that Diane Townsend Tirage stick. Let's soften this. And while I'm at it, I can soften the edge. The real object has a hard edge, and the reflection has soft edges. Let's go a little bit darker and a little bit darker. Okay, I'm going to move along and keep working on these until they're all at the same level of finish. So here I go with the darker red. Don't need a real heavy touch on this pastel mat. And I don't want to have a heavy touch at this point in any painting that I'm doing because I don't want to fill up my tooth. That's the trick with pastels. Try to get yourself to use a light hand. And that's hard for me because I really do have a heavier touch when I write, when I paint, whatever it is I'm doing with art, drawing. I usually have a heavier touch. But I've learned with pastels to just be delicate because I don't want to fill up all the tooth. Okay, I'm going to move on to something that's a little bit lighter. There's some lighter reflections. I'm now moving into something that's really bright, and I'm not worrying so much about the exact shape of the reflection. I want to kind of get the placement right now, a little lighter up here. And I'm going to be softening this. Wipe my hand. Keep your hand clean too while you're working because you want to keep the colors real fresh. And I'm not going to use the same side as that. I'm going to flip it over. I'm actually going to flip it to the opposite end of the sponge and soften that. And by using that light touch that I did, I've got plenty of tooth that I can use with this sponge, and it's going to stay put. If you go too heavy, at some point the pastel is going to start falling off of itself. So you really want to have a light hand so that it will embed itself into the tooth. I'm going to come back and do the reflections, and that dark pattern is a little bit different, and I'm really looking to see, it's almost like a puzzle, to see where, what shape does the dark make, what shape does the light make. Dark and light colors I'm referring to. I can come back in and freshen that up again. It's a little bit darker. Once I've smeared it, it softens it a little bit, so this gives it fresh color again. And I'm going to come back in and with a little bit of this lighter red and a little bit of that glow. And I'm going to put a little back in here. This is the reflection of a window that's paned. And all of these reflections have soft edges, so keep that in mind. The object itself has a hard edge, and the shine and the reflections in these things have soft edges. I can soften this again, smear it, create a real soft edge with that sponge. And it's reflecting right onto the edge. I can come back with my green that still has some pastel on it Went a little bit darker on the edge of this mirror, on the beveled edge. Come back and create that a little better, a little more accurately. Later on as I move through this. Okay, next, the blue. I'm gonna go with the dark, dark blue that I picked up. It's like a midnight blue, almost purpley. And these do not overlap. I drew them in a way where they're overlapping, but they are actually not. And I'm gonna make that correction right now. This comes around. You know, I love this part of creating anything. I love the drawing process because I love the idea of discovery. You know, I think I have something right, and then as I get into it and really take time to look, I learn a lot about those objects and how they play against each other and interact, where they intersect. By the way, when you're making a circle, do small sections at a time. If it's hard for you, I kind of just go for it, and I know that eventually I'll hit it. But go in small, straight sections, lines, before you, to fill it out, before you commit to saying, yes, it's correct. Okay, I'm going to skim back in this. And I'm seeing some red reflections on there and some blue on here. That's going to be fun, but I'll do that later. Coming back down below. And these just touch. They don't overlap. They kind of disappear into each other. Trying to get the right shape. I want these to feel like they are a mirror image of what's above. And because of the fact that there's that gum on there, the gum eraser, I do need to bring these up so that they just hit the ornament. Whoops, I have to go for that darker color. There we go. Okay, let's smear that. I've got a sponge that has blue on it that I was using. So let's go into this and smear, soften that. I'm doing it carefully. I don't want it all to smudge together. I don't want to obliterate where I put the highlights. I'd like to kind of keep them where they are. Now this, you can see, got out of shape, and it's no problem because when I come back in with the background, the light and the mirror below it, the light board, I will correct that. And I like to paint this way, where I'm sort of not worried about everything being so perfect, because this is just the beginning. I've got plenty of time to fix things. That's how I look at painting, as a series of corrections right from the beginning. I get started and then I start correcting. Put down color and then keep correcting and correcting and correcting until it's done. I'm gonna go with this little dark rim on here on the bevel and a little light on here. Okay, that looks good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is come back in and get the darks in these little, I don't know what these things are called on the ornament that they hang from. This is the dark that I used in the side of this light ornament. It's the color that I'm going to use in all of them because it's the same metal on all of them. Some are catching the light in different ways, but it is that same metal. And so I'm going to go with it. This has a nice reflection of the red on it, which I'll come back in and put in. Then I'm going to go with the light yellow. I have two different yellows. An intense light one that's for sparkles, for the shine on these, and then this sort of golden, sort of a neutral one. It's not yellow, it's sort of a grayed out yellow. Here's the difference. Here's the bright sort of sunflower yellow. And this neutral one is the one I'm using. I don't want it screaming out yellow. I'm trying to simulate metallic gold. And so there's a little of this golden color. a straw color. Anyway, that gives me a little something to start with, and then I can come back in and have fun. I'm going to just show you right now. I'm not ready for this light, but I can come back in and put these sparkles. Sparkle on that side, reflections, and up on here. So that'll work real nicely. I'm going to start to zero in on the ornaments a little bit and refine them. I see, now that I look closer, I see there's this purple design in here, and I can almost see a little warm pinky purple in here, and it's art and it's mine, and who's to tell me I can't do that? So why not? To make it more interesting and add a little more color. Coming back in with that green that I used everywhere, in the gold. Back in here, it goes a little bit cooler down here. Actually, I think I'll come back in with this too. But I'm also going to come back in with this cooler green that I had in my selection, just to calm it down a little bit. I don't want it quite as warm down here. The layering makes for a nice variety of color. And I'm going to come back in with the light, which is now that I've smeared this a little bit, this Tourage stick has become my highlight, which is kind of interesting. At first it didn't show up much. And soft edge as that highlight transitions into the body of the piece. I'm going to come back with this warmer golden, sort of golden khaki. Let it transition smoothly. I could use my sponge, but I can do more direct sort of spot highlighting with my finger right now. I'm standing back to take a look. This can go even a little bit lighter, and I'll probably pick up something that's an even lighter value, but seems like as I stand back and do this, a lighter touch, a heavier touch and a directed spot really brings out that light in this color. So this may work, but I'm saving the intense highlights for the end. I just am trying to make this go darker. So whatever it takes. And I'm not worrying about that outside edge because I'll be coming back and cleaning that up. Adding a little bit of this yellow because I'm seeing a little of that. There's a little glow here. I did have a spotlight on these, and which was on this side, and it's picking up some reflections from down below. Let's move on. So I'm going with something that's a little bit darker. The trick is to make this look like it's three-dimensional. So whatever I can do to get it to go light on one side and dark on the other. Dark here, it's picking up that blue, and dark on that side. Okay, I'm going to go back into the blue and go with my dark, dark blue. Remember, I've smeared, so I've softened up and spread some of the color. And again down here, just reestablishing those darks. And dark on that side, but not as dark as this side. And I'm going to now incorporate a little of this dark, the blue that's reflecting onto the red. Same thing here. And I'm going to reestablish this light area. And all of this is real soft. No hard edges on these things other than for the decoration details. It's a nice little spotlight right there. highlight. I pulled out this that was in my my selection that you'll see. I thought maybe it has a little greenish blue in it, but I thought it might light this up a little bit in a way that it might need, and I think I want that. Just give it a little, push it a little bit, give it a little extra sparkle. And I'm noticing now in the center of this, there's a light that's being reflected, and it starts with the darker, and in the center of it, there's a bright highlight. And I see a little of that yellowish down here. And highlight right in the center. I'm going to reestablish these pretty light, sort of a coral color. At this point, I'm making some harder marks, not hard, but harder, because I'm considering them finishing marks probably. Although I'll probably soften them like that. Sometimes just a tap, don't need to smear, just a tap will do it. And I'm going to pick up another red that's just a little more true red, just because I feel like it needs it. That's pretty. It needed the brightness. If you work in this way where you're just looking at shapes and putting the shapes where you see them, you don't have to really even think about what this is. Oh my God, it's an ornament. Oh my God, I don't have this. This is reflecting this light or this shape in my studio. It doesn't matter. See it all as sort of puzzle pieces. And if you put the right shapes in the right places, it eventually will come together and read as what it's supposed to read as. This is a reflection of the tip of the ornament up here. It's kind of cool. I'm just noticing that. Soft edge. Sort of a softer transition from the dark to this red because it's giving it a little more life. That ornament did go fairly dark, but I think for my painting, I'm making an executive decision here. It got a little dead looking, and we don't want that. I want it to be interesting and exciting.